Hello, welcome to a bit of a ship guide, I suppose. And this is going to actually be a three-parter, specific kind of to the Minotaur, because there's really three semi-different ways to build and play the ship. And that just really is smoke, ledge mod smoke, and radar. So we are going to start with the, vanilla option of regular smoke. And I don't like smoke Minotaur. I don't like this standard smoke screen that this ship gets. Um, I think that the Minotaur has incredibly bad stopping ability, and that kind of leads you to, if you're smoking when you are spotted, that leads you to be very predictable in how you slow down into your smoke screen. Good players have a very, very, very easy time blind firing you because of that. There's not a lot of room to maneuver in your smoke screen. If you get torped out, you just have to leave it. Um, Napoli hit a couple torps. It's pretty good. But when it comes to comparing regular smoke minnow and radar minnow, I think that your standard smoke minotaur is a little bit easier to play. And I think it's not just a little bit easier to play. I actually think it's quite a bit more matchmaker resilient than radar minotaur. Uh, And really that, like, if you look at this game, right, there's a DD on the 10 line, which I'm never going to interact with, right? And there was one destroyer here who instantly died. Now, if I had radar, I probably could have pushed him, radared him out of the smoke, right, deterred him a little bit. But now he's dead. So basically for the rest of this entire game, there would be zero, literally zero value to having radar on the Minotaur. There's also a carrier in the lobby. Minotaur doesn't have terrible anti-air, but it's really not very good. Most CVs are going to strike you twice per squadron. And also you just get griefed very hard by the AA spotting because like other ships like Worcester, have a very high air detect of 6.9 that matches your AA range. And so this leads you to getting spotted a lot easier. And unless a CV just like floats around and just gobbles flak shell after flak shell, carriers just have a lot easier time kind of hanging out in like the mid to long range air detect that you have. And there are many CVs that can like spot you for basically multiple minutes at a time with a single squadron. So that's another issue kind of that the radar Minotaur has, and that smoke does. Smoke does definitely alleviate that. There's no DD here for me to interact with. There's no value to the radar. Uh, I'm just trying to get over to C, really. That's why I'm running into these people. And yeah, the smoke kind of, it's a less risky playstyle than a radar Minotaur, but it is certainly a lower reward game impact wise. Now, I think that generally speaking, if you are looking to farm damage, get nice damage numbers, smoke is better than radar. Um, really, because there's a lot of situations where like if this Conqueror keeps pushing and this Colombo slows down or turns back in, maybe even the Vermont keeps coming, right? I could theoretically get a smoke screen popped like right in their mouths and get big, big, big damage on all of these guys combined. So I'm trying to get within range of this Conqueror. I mean, you see like just kind of like how little damage I'm really doing to these planes. Uh, and this is what I mean about the smoke. Like, this smoke bloom propagates for like 20 plus seconds, I believe, with this build. Uh, I'm actually, I'm missing the smoke gen mod, but you can get the smoke bloom up to about 22 seconds. And even with that, like, you see how just slow this thing comes to a halt. And that's why the standard smoke on Minotaur, well, one of the reasons why uh, it's nowhere near as good as the ledge mod smoke. Like, just nowhere near. We'll look at the ledge mod in the video after this one, but yeah, the standard smoke on Minotaur, there's just not a lot of bloom to it. There's not a lot of way to maneuver in it. Now, in this situation, right, there's no torpedoes to torp me out, so there's not really anything to like force me out of this smoke screen. But Minotaur is definitely one of the easiest smoke cruisers to blind fire. You have a really big freeboard, you sit really high out of the water, you have an absurd rate of fire, so it's super easy to, kind of calculate where you are in the smoke screen, even if you're moving. So, anyone with hands, like if I was this Conqueror, I would shoot me right now. Even though the Shima is spotted, I would shoot me right now, because he could probably basically dev strike me out of the smoke, but he gets the Shima, but that does mean now he's, bloom spotted, and I think he's also spotted by the Schlieffen. So, I mean, Minotaur DPM when people aren't perfectly nose in is pretty much disgusting. I mean, it's basically the highest damage output in the game, aside from like reload boosting Austin. But as far as consistent DPM, with reload mob, which I do take and you should take, even on full HP, Minotaur has close to 700,000 AP DPM, and it's much more usable. Other ships have absurd DPM like Colbert with AP, but the AP has a lot less penetration. It doesn't have the ultra short fuse. It doesn't have the ultra improved pen angles. So yeah, there's very few situations in a ship like Colbert you can really utilize the AP DPM. People angled even at like 30 to 45 degrees bounce a lot of it. Minotaur, you've basically got to go completely nose into it to bounce the AP. So this flank is cleaned up. Now there's kind of two options here. One is to keep pushing with this Andes and go to A, and the other is to push on the rock. Because the thing is, if I go to A, this Vermont is here, so he has line of sight. Colombo has line of sight, and Petro is here. So even if I just eat one Petro radar, like the odds that these guys each get a shot off on me is pretty high, and you're kind of the easiest cruiser in the game to Citadel overall. Basically at any angle, because you have this stepped Citadel armor where it kind of jumps up and jumps back down. So anything coming in the front or the ass has just like an absurdly high chance to Citadel you. So, I'm going to be caught by Petro radar at some point, but I need to be in a spot that kind of like limits a bit, at least, the angles that people can hit me from. So, and Petro is actually a ship that Minotaur can do extremely well against in a 1v1, because you don't get overmatched. The 220 millimeter is not enough. You need 234 to overmatch Minotaur bow. So, if I go like perfectly nose into a Petro, he basically can't really do any damage to me, and he's kind of forced to either like try to knock turrets with AP or actually just load the HE, which sounds abominable, but that is often what you just kind of have to do. So I'm hoping that these two guys push, and I'm just trying to farm, but I'm trying to stay near the rock because the Petro radar is going to get me at some point, right? Like it's inevitable that I will be Petro radared, and right now Vermont's not looking for me, but yep, there's the Petro radar, but he's going to have about 12 to 15 seconds of vision on me with this radar. So I need to back up, and Petro was even waiting for me. You saw that he just overpenned my bow. So I'm just backing up until the radar is over, and again you see like how little the smoke propagates in this thing. It's kind of like just objectively inferior to the ledge mod, and I'm going to talk about it, more. We're going to focus mostly on just regular Minotaur play in this video, but the ledge mod is like kind of super ship Mino if you play smoke. That's kind of the pain, is like once you have ledge mod Mino, then the regular smoke Minotaur feels like incredible suffering to play. And so I'm gonna get like good damage this game, but honestly my game impact and my damage could be a lot higher if I was in even the ledge mod. But I mean, you see here, even still, like these guys are dark, but they're out of radar range. Like I just don't. The radar is so matchmaker dependent. It's kind of crazy. I think a lot of people like don't acknowledge how matchmaker dependent radar Minotaur is. It's like if there's two subs and two DDs in the in the game, it's like, yeah, you might radar and kill one destroyer, and then your game impact with the radar is completely ended, unless they've got like a ton of smoke farm cruisers or something weird like that. But really the problem is there are a lot of games where the radar is 100% wasted. Like it's just literally useless. And That's really not true even of these standard smoke screens. Like if it comes down to it, you can even smoke up a teammate, right? Like if there's truly like legitimately no world where you can like smoke and farm, you can smoke up a teammate. You're getting focused by the CV. You have, a little over 2 minutes of relief from the carrier griefing you. So that's why while the potential of Radar Minotaur is a lot higher, um, the Smoke Minotaur is like probably, just overall it's comfier to play and it is more resilient to Matchmaker, being focused and the kind of the plan of the enemy team. I didn't think he could arc that at all, which is why I didn't try to dodge it, but I guess he could barely arc it enough to overpin me. And you see there I had to accelerate to dodge, and because I had to accelerate, I'm going to stop in my smoke like really right at the very, very end of the smoke screen. And this is kind of, I'm going to be a little bit of a broken record here, but this is like kind of the core issue of the Minotaur standard smoke screen is, again, even if you, like, I see how basically my nose is peeking out of the smoke, and because it's so small, I have to leave. Now, if I was in the ledge mod Mino, I would still be propagating smoke, so sprinting out to dodge the CV drop, I would still have like a minute remaining on smoking. And here we're going to kind of see how resilient the Minotaur can be, like I was just saying to a Bowen Petro, because his HE DPM is trash, but he also doesn't overmatch my bow, so he's shooting AP at me, and like you see just the non-existent damage output. And here you can also see like the super short fuse on Minotaur. Like I'm shooting him in the upper superstructure, and I'm actually getting full pens, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, if I was in ledge mod Minotaur, I would still have smoke, and I would be concealed right now, which would obviously be kind of crazy. I widespread the torps here. I think that was a kind of an objective mistake. These should have probably been single launched because, I was thinking originally, I was like, this Essex is going to probably turn, so I should widespread like a bit to either side of him. But obviously that was retarded because if he turned at all, then my AP would just completely rape him. So, yeah, I only hit one torp. That easily could have been a kill on that carrier. Not that it would have changed the outcome of the game. I mean, the game is completely over, but, would have been nice to kill the Sky Cancer, I guess. That was, I think a lot of people, too, say that Minotaur with smoke is more team dependent than Radar Minotaur, and I kind of don't really agree with that. I think they're sort of almost equally team dependent. And that really just comes down to the problem when you're in a smoke Minotaur is obviously you cannot spot for yourself, right? But also when you're in a radar Minotaur, if like nobody helps you, like allies never smoke you, people never shoot anything you radar, then obviously that's also super frustrating. And then you can't like just pop a smoke and use an ally for spotting to farm. So when it comes to like team dependency, I do think they're probably fairly equal. Again, in like the very next game, we see another situation where the advantage of radar on the Minotaur would be of kind of like dubious value. They do have one smoke cruiser, the Smolensk, so theoretically that could be a high impact, but they only have two destroyers. And so the value of Radar Minotaur in this lobby would really be more down to how do the enemy destroyers want to play more than anything, because if they were to go for caps here, then obviously there would be value, or if they were to go for super hard flank, there would be value. And so you see here my RPF is changing pretty quickly, left to right. So that does tell me that there is most likely one of this Holland or this orange, because the sub's going to be spawned on the 1 to 3 line. It does tell me that they probably have a destroyer flanking. We're going to see if this at any point ticks beyond the island, then it's like pretty much guaranteed that someone is hard flanking. And I have RPF on Minotaur with the smoke build. And that has nothing to do with its good on Smoke Minotaur. It's just that I just leave it on because I don't, want to use a different captain, a different optimal captain every time, I switch between Smoke and Radar, obviously. So it's pretty much guaranteed that this is a destroyer. Yep, there you go. So it just aggressively moved. Yeah, so the destroyer's on the flank. Now this would be an example of where the radar on the Minotaur would be of extreme value because with RPF, radar Minotaur is one of the very few radar cruisers that really benefits from RPF. I could just go hunt this guy, and I have no ability to do that now because I am in fact using smoke. So, and the enemy team is not really pushing, so this would be a really good opportunity to go push the flank hard. They only really have one battleship, the Shikishima, and a couple of cruisers. So instead of pushing the flank, because that would be pointless, I have no way to spot the DD. I need to somehow like just get in range to get some farm out, because really like your sole value in Smoke Minotaur is farming, and especially in the non-ledge mod Smoke Minotaur. You have to get in range of people, and you have to pop a smoke and farm a couple of ships. A little bit different than ledge mod, which does allow for like central dominance over caps. But the standard Smoke Minotaur is a very it's definitely the most cautious playstyle of all three of these. Even the ledge mod Minotaur with smoke, you are kind of empowered to play a lot more aggressively than you would in regular Smoke Minotaur. Uh, you can't just smoke with standard smoke. You kind of need to smoke in a way that also gives you an escape route, because just 2 racks of torps basically covers your entire smoke screen in the Minotaur, and you will probably have to leave the smoke if you get torped out, and then you're out of the smoke. So if something is spotting you, then you're like not getting back in the smoke, right? I mean, you only have like 2 or 3 boat lengths worth of smoke propagation in this thing, and if you get torped out of the smoke and leave and then get spotted, it's like you're not still blooming smoke like with ledge mod. I mean, you're like that smoke is over, right? You're never utilizing it again. Now, the standard smoke does have one advantage over ledge mod, and that is the overlap when you're without smoke. Here you see I put the smoke back on, so it's 22 seconds of propagation. But you see how the smoke screen disperses in 113 and reloads at 136. So you're without smoke for 24 seconds, assuming you stayed in it all the way through the end, and then you instantly popped a new one. So I'm spotted by Holland, so I'm just going to smoke. This is kind of just an awkward game right now, because my 3 battleships are basically have nothing to shoot at. So I've got 3 AFK battleships, and my Benham's doing a really good job of grabbing the caps, but unfortunately what's going to happen is their Orage is going to come into sea, and he's going to back cap on us. And we're kind of relying on like Borodino's radar to stop that. And there's really just not much to do here, because in order for me to really get in range of people, I'm going to have to get like balls deep into B, which is going to put me not only in range of Stalingrad's radar, but also in range of like all of these guys' guns, basically everyone on their team, including, right, like the biggest issue is this crossfire here. So while I could get maybe towards the south side of B, and then I could get like some nice farm in here, Stalingrad radar is going to allow like 6-7 people to shoot at me all at once, right? And that's kind of not the play. Minotaur does okay of dodging and mitigating damage in a situation where either it's only like 1 or 2 people from the same angle shooting at you, or it's like extremely long range. But if you're crossfired at 10 to 13 kilometers, it's like you're gonna blow up. I mean, if they know how to aim, you're definitely gonna blow up. And this is kind of a big issue I have with the regular Smoke Minotaur, because once you get used to playing ledge mod smoke, which allows you to crawl around and maneuver in the smoke, and if you pop the smoke and then you're like a kilometer out of range, you can keep crawling and get in range of people. So I had to accelerate to dodge that salvo, and then I'm going to immediately slam on the brakes. But like, I would have barely stayed in that smoke screen, right? And that's kind of the issue that regular smoke Minotaur has is if you ever have to accelerate to dodge damage in your smoke, the odds that you can stay in it and use it after that happens is just kind of very low. So, I mean, here you see the amount of crossfire that's, instantly happening. And if I came out into B, then this crossfire would have been plus Shikishima, plus Amalfi perhaps, maybe even plus Henry. He hasn't been spotted in almost 4 minutes. So, um, this Stalingrad is backing up. It's just a very, very awkward situation. I'm smoking because I want to farm the Stalingrad a little in a safe way, but I mean their team is just not really pushing at all, and I mean they don't have to right now. To be fair, I think the enemy team this game was playing like abnormally well. Most teams are not remotely this intelligent. Very, very, very few of their ships are going to overextend, which typically is what happens. A lot of players in randoms will go like, "Oh, we're 3 capped to 1. We're gonna lose. We have to send it." Like the Shikishima is gonna push in for no reason, but I think he ends up being the only person that pushes in for no reason. I think basically everyone else on their team actually knows how to play the game, which is pretty rare and pretty, I mean, to be fair, unfortunate. Uh, Basically, the enemy team was just like a lot more intelligent than mine overall. A very abnormal amount of IQ points being displayed by the Reds here. Because they have so much time, right? Like, this is a problem. The points are reversed, so if you look at the top, my team is actually 150 ahead, and we're only down 1 ship, and we're only down a little bit of HP, right? So, like, in theory, this is quite winnable for us, quite winnable for us, as long as like my Des Moines doesn't get dev struck, going flat broadside to ships on his left, and yeah, things like that. And, but here again, I just can't. If I was in Ledge Mob Minotaur, I'd be able to keep crawling, and I would like guarantee. So that smoke screen that was used defensively to keep me alive would also now be able to be used offensively to get more damage. And I'm trying to like mini map this guy and shoot him over the island, but it's just not. It's just not that easy, and he's nose in. So I'm kind of like stuck in this position, and that is the thing with Minotaur's smoke. Even a ship like Jinan has a lot longer propagation, right? Like if you take consumables enhancement and smoke generator mod on a ship like the Jinan, you get like close to, I believe it's like 40 seconds maybe of smoke propagation. So even a ship like the Jinan is a lot more maneuverable while in its smoke screen. Obviously, it doesn't have the hydro, so it's easier to get torped. But now I have to wait again, right? Rather than being in the same smoke. So I get my other smoke back because this guy's about to spot me, and I just want to get him killed quick. But then kind of as soon as this smoke ends, I'm going to be in another similar situation where I can't farm from it again, right? So I use that smoke, which I kind of had to. I could have just dived the island and played super passive, I guess, but I did want to try to keep my Borodino alive, prevent that Shikishima from shooting again. So, and like they're still not overcommitting. Like this Stalingrad is still camped on an island, right? Smolensk is still camped on an island. These other cruisers in the north are still rock camping. And that like even though they're down 200 points and they're even on HP, because they don't have to push right now. They just don't have to push right now, and it's very, very rare, to see this kind of discipline from any team, really. It's kind of impressive. I think like 90% of teams I would have won this game against, because like that Stalingrad would have come out and let me kill him, and a bunch of ships would have come out and let me get kills on them. That's kind of the standard experience for a lot of people playing randoms, is they just can't get over the fact that they're triple capped, and they start like just throwing their ships into the caps. But these guys know as soon as they kill Yamato, they win the game, right? If they can kill Yamato, they basically win the game. So they're waiting for him to die, and then they can probably push. I'm trying to disguise the speed boost on, so even at like only 10 kilometers, it's kind of dubious that I'm going to hit him, really. And there you go. Yamato's dead. Um, I'm torping for the Henry to turn in, because kind of one of two things is going to happen. He is either going to stay broadside or angled to me, and I will destroy him with AP. Or if he wants to angle to the AP instantly, then he'll hopefully be in the path of these torpedoes. The game is still kind of winnable. The biggest problem is we have no way of spotting this destroyer, and the Stalingrad is alive. If the Stalingrad was not alive, I think we would pretty much win this game for free. He's really the only ship with any kind of accurate guns that also overmatch me and do legitimate damage to me. You know, the FDG is not really a concern, neither is Atago, neither is Smolensk. Uh, but unfortunately, the enemy team has kind of like the only two ships alive that can win them the game, which is Stalingrad and the Orage. So, you know, they have the ability to back cap, and now we're going to be triple capped. And unlike the enemy team, we have no chance of ever getting the caps back. So, I have no way to spot the DD over here, obviously. So I'm trying to get over on the flank to 1v1 the Atago, because if I can 1v1 the Atago, and he died to his outtorp. So that was really, really a kind of almost, you know, not unfortunate, but it was unfortunate he died that late, because that basically wasted a minute of me rotating. Because I thought he was going to keep pushing the flank while his destroyer capped, but he actually turned back in for some reason and ate a Zautorp. And because I made the decision to go north to cut him off and try to 1v1 him and, you know, hydro for the Lepanto, right? I don't know what my Lepanto is doing. I have no idea why he's kiting out, but whatever. That was the idea, right? Is hydro for my teammate and help him kill the Atago and then push in. But because of that, I made a decision here to turn back to D. And the idea was, if I come out around the other side of this rock, the Orage will spot me, and then FDG can shoot me. Stalingrad should be here. Stalingrad should be pushing here, and the Smolensk is over here. So my theory was that, my theory was totally wrong. The Stalingrad is making an incredibly, incredibly terrible play, but I fed right, I fed right into it. He kind of made like the only play that could get him killed and could lose his team the game, but because of the way that I decided to play this, right? Like if I had gone this way, I would have just killed the FDG for free, and we would have had a very good chance of winning the game. But because I assumed the enemy was intelligent, which is usually a very, very bad assumption. And I even get 2 torpedoes, but I mean, the game is over. So super unfortunate. Sometimes you make those decisions where it's like a roll of the dice, and you think like the logical play would be the enemy takes a safe position that guarantees he wins. And then they don't, and because you assumed they would make the logical play, then you have now made like a gigantic blunder that guarantees you die. You know, it happens, but that time wasted to go fight the Atago was kind of the crucial moment. But again, I mean, I would argue in both of these games, I think these were back-to-back games. There really would have been like legitimately zero value in radar. Aside from this very last game, I think that was the one game, because there's lots of islands on that map, where I could have gone and killed the Orage very early, and we maybe would have had a chance to win. Maybe. It's a little bit cope. Again, any like halfway decent destroyer player is not going to get one shot by Mino radar, assuming they have hands and like 4 or 5 brain cells to scrape together to get some friction going. They're just really, really unlikely to, to die. I mean, they're gonna, just park nose in and you do like 5k max maybe. You really only massacre like the stupid destroyer players with Minnow Radar, which to be fair is most of them. But I do think overall, like in this game, I probably would have maybe not died earlier without smoke, but I probably would not have gotten as much damage without smoke, and the radar would have been of dubious use. Uh, so when it comes to like solo play, I think the highs and the lows of Smoke Minotaur are a little closer together. And what I mean by that is your team like totally suicides. There's very few destroyers, so radar's dubious, and a CV humps you. Like, instead of pure unadulterated suffering, that game is now only mostly suffering. And then when battleships get to push into you and one smoke gets you like 50, 60k plus damage, that's really cool. But like, just comparing smoke to radar minotaur is kind of like a more stable experience. Uh, yeah, you're maybe a little teammate reliant on the spotting, but I mean, to be fair, radar minotaur is also teammate reliant on people actually shooting ships you cannot ever open up on. And when people just like get to perma push, and you can't like pop a smoke in their mouth and farm them and deter them, that does also suck. So, uh, of the three, I think that your standard smoke Minotaur is just like a little bit easier to play. I had this changed around, but basically, you're taking smoke, concealment. Everything here is the same. And then the only thing is you change aiming systems for the smoke gen mod. I just leave the radar mod on here because I don't want to demount it. But assuming you're the kind of person who never plays radar Minotaur, then definitely get the Hydro mod in slot 2, 100%. Otherwise, this is the build for smoke or ledge mod smoke minnow, main armaments, Hydro mod, absolutely. I do think the smoke mod is is pretty nice. I, even on even on regular Minotaur, yeah, you give up a tiny bit of accuracy, but you vomit so many shells, it's kind of like not a big deal. Definitely rudder, definitely concealment, definitely reload. Range mod Minotaur is such a fucking troll. But so you get 22 seconds, and without this, you only get about 16, and that is, man, it is tough. Like if you are full speed in Minotaur, and you get spotted and you have to smoke, like you're not going to go dark, you're open water, you have to slam on the brakes and smoke. That 16 seconds is like barely, and I mean fucking barely, enough smoke propagation, because this thing does not fucking stop. It takes off like a rocket ship from neutral engine mode, like from parked, but it does not accelerate worth a fuck while reversing, and it does not decelerate while full speed worth a fuck either. So that is the build for regular smoke minnow, I think. And then this is more of a little bit dubious use. This is still these skills here are definitely the kind of the core. I would say though that there's a lot of wiggle room assuming you play smoke minotaur. If you're playing smoke minotaur, I would actually give up location and consumables enhancement. I would probably still keep consumable specialist because getting the smoke back, a solid, I think it's 10, 12 seconds sooner. It's pretty nice. But for smoke minotaur gameplay, this is a radar build on the captain. But really, all you would do is you would give up RPF and you would give up consumables enhancement. You would probably move consumables enhancement to PT, and then you would probably move RPF to a torpedo skill. It's kind of the idea there. Maybe even a 4-point AA skill, so when CVs hump you, get all your consumables back faster. But kind of the core of the build, I think, pretty much regardless of what type of Minotaur you're playing, you're going to take last stand, because if the engine goes out, you're 100% gigafucked. I think consumable specialist, because on Dunkirk especially it's improved, is like always. I think these are always your top two skills. There's basically zero value to grease the gears. These things turn absurdly fast, right? 5.4 seconds with reload mod and not grease the gears. So like, what do you need 4.5 seconds in turret traverse, right? So these are your two 1-pointers, kind of guaranteed. Radar or ledge mod, you take this, but I would go PT probably instead for your standard smoke minotaur, and then I would drop radio location, and I would either grab torpedo reload and maybe an AA skill, or either that or torpedo reload. The thing is, if you grab torpedo reload, it's kind of awkward because then you do have 2 points left. And if you're moving this to priority target, you already have PT. So the idea would be like, what do you spend those last 2 points on? Like I guess you could put them on, focus fire training if you really fucking want to. But I would probably almost just go AA. Really, I would on the Minotaur. Because CVs do like love to hump you because everyone loves to shoot you. So when you get plane spotted, everyone shoots you, and getting your heal and your smoke back in a minute. You're smoking a minute, you're healing like 40 seconds when the planes hump you. Plus, they're in your AA range for a long time, like with Wooster, because of the long AA range. Uh, this is like a semi-solid skill on Minotaur if you're playing smoke. So that's kind of what I would do on the captain build. As far as rating, I think Smoke Minotaur, regular Smoke Minotaur, is objectively the most inferior version of Minotaur. Uh, I think it is just objectively significantly inferior to Ledge Mob Minotaur. And while it is not worse or better than Radar Minotaur, I think it's certainly less fun. Definitely a lower skill floor than Radar Minotaur. Definitely a lower skill ceiling than Radar Minotaur. But really my biggest issue with standard Smoke Minnow is like if you are a Smoke Minotaur main, then you could just like with 19,000 research points, you could be playing Super Ship Minotaur because like Ledge Mob Minnow is Super Ship Minotaur, assuming you play Smoke. Like this is just straight up. I think it's better than like I would rather play Ledge Mob Minnow than Smoke Edgar even. Radar obviously is a different story because you're spotted and the hole is bullshit. But my point being, if you are just one of those people who is like, I'm absolutely never going to play Radar on Minotaur, but I love the smoke, then it's like, to me, it just feels shitty because your smoke is so much worse. But that is that is it. That is the basic in Smoke Minotaur. You hopefully get in range to farm multiple targets and pop a smoke, but you are then unfortunately committed inside that smoke screen. You cannot leave it and come back really ever, and you can't really move around. You can easily get torped out because the smoke puffs are so short. And yeah, it's easier to play than Radar Minotaur, but ultimately this is something I never ever play. Is the standard smoke Minotaur. Um, we will. I mean, we can look at the armor, I guess, at the end of each of these videos. I mean, we probably all know what Minotaur armor is. It's like kind of the worst armor in the entire game, because of the step citadel, right? It's and this is why you're so easy to blind fire too, is because like it doesn't really even matter like what angle. Like you're at this angle, smoke farming, and like a random shell hits anywhere in this area, it's like boom, you get a sit. So that's really another core issue with the standard smoke Minotaur is you're so immaneuverable while in those few puffs of smoke that the incentive to blind fire you is just so much higher than if you were playing something like the legendary mod Minotaur. Yep, that'll do it for regular smoke minnow. We'll see you in the next one for the ledge mod smoke. Thank you for watching.